Hello there, everybody. This is JC coming to you live from, well, I'm not live, but this is JC coming to you from my desktop. Today I have a very special devlog for you today. If you remember last time, we went over a different devlog of mine where I just showed a simple, 2.5D action-ish game, and it was fun, but I finished the prototype and I said, I want to do something else. And this is that something else. It doesn't look like much, but I just want to take a moment and kind of walk you through what we have here. I'm going to hit play, and then we're just going to see what happens. Alright, so I know this kind of probably looks weird. So right now we are playing as a character, and it's just simple shooting mechanics. That thing is dead. There's trees, there's terrain, but when we go up here, suddenly we get into this knight, and the knight. All of these models are placeholders, but this knight is a mech. And basically, the premise of this game is Monster Hunter meets Gundam. Yeah, I'm pretty stoked about it too. So, there's not too much going on here. I spent a lot of time just getting systems working. I wanted the mech to feel good while not being too fast, and I'm still making some adjustments here and there, but our goal is to make an open world mech game, Gundam meets Monster Hunter, with survival elements, where you can get out of your mech as a pilot and shoot stuff. We already have a working prototype for dungeons that we will put into the overworld. The dungeons will be procedurally generated. The overworld probably won't be, but that might change. Obviously, this is a super duper early build, but I'm actually really happy with it. I wanted to know from the get-go if this could actually work, and this convinced me that yes, it can. There's still some bugs to iron out, and it obviously needs a lot of polish, and it needs what do you call it? Stuff in it, content. So let's stop playing for a second, and I just want to walk you through a little bit of what we're doing here. So obviously we have our scene here, and we have our character, and I'm just going to oh my goodness, this is okay. Well, I'll zoom in on that later. Let's double click on pilot, because that'll take us to her. And this is obviously a placeholder, so I'm just using a mixture of pre-made libraries and some of my own code to get this working. You probably noticed that the AK-74M doesn't quite match up with her hands. That's just a bug of her avatar with the T-posing, and I'll be fixing that soon. And then over here we have a basically just an empty mesh with a collider around it. Trigger collider, and when you're within the range of the trigger collider and you press a button, you get into the mech. Oh my goodness, it's not wearing underwear. See? And that over there is an enemy, and then we have another enemy way over there. And the idea is that we're going to have enemies that are scaled for the human, for the mech, and eventually like mountain size monsters. We have a modeler on board already. We finished this prototype, and we are moving to our demo, which nothing is quite set in stone yet, but I think we've decided on a goal for when we want to have the demo ready by. I want to clear it with the rest of the team first before I go and publicly announce it all over the place. But the idea is that what we're going to be focusing on is making the combat feel good. We want it to feel as smooth as butter. We want you to be able to enjoy it. And so both the on foot and the in the mech. So on foot is going to actually mirror a lot of Metal Gear Solid. The idea is that like you can get out of your mech, you can scout on foot, gather resources. When your mech is damaged, it won't actually automatically recover. So you have to get resources not only to repair it but to upgrade it. And so by going on foot, you can scout things out. There are certain dungeons that are only available to be on foot, and and the idea is to have this core gameplay loop where you're swapping back and forth, and you get in the mech to take down really big monsters. You'll be able to destroy trees by running into them too hard. It'll make lots of noise. We want to include certain kinds of environmental puzzles. Actually, not too different from, say, Death Stranding. You can, if you can't tell, I really like Kojima games. Obviously, achieving the same level of depth and scope as those games is going to be nigh impossible. But using those as our inspirations, I think we can achieve a lot. Aside from that, I am So part of how we plan to get the destructible trees is if I go and I click on this tree, you'll notice that it's not part of the terrain, and the reason for that is because the terrain does some really good optimization stuff that essentially makes it treat the trees all as one object, which is really cool. The problem with that is that it makes it really difficult to interact with those trees, and if you do, it makes it very costly to memory and to RAM. Wow, those are the same thing, to memory and to CPU. And so what my plan is I'm going to create these terrains, or someone is going to create these terrains, and put the trees on them and make it look really nice. And then what we're going to do is we're going to take that terrain data and pull the tree positions out of it at like the start of the scene, basically, and then replace all those trees with our normal trees. And so you'll get a hit to performance at that very beginning, but the trees, as you can see, they still use LOD. So even though like it's not part of the terrain, there's no collider loaded in there right now. And if we get close to it, then the collider comes in. At least I hope. Yep, I am correct. Haha! I'm not completely stupid. So, beyond that, basic bad guys, they're using Navmesh to follow you. We have one of our modelers, he's working on the most dope dragon. Well, I'm going to bleep that out because I don't want to spoil what it is. And then, aside from that, let's see. Let's go and look at dungeon generation really quickly. So I'm going to close out of this and pop that open. Alright, we are back, and watch this. It should just work. Todd Howard. It just works. Thanks, Todd. Okay, so this probably doesn't look like much to you guys, but what this is it is a procedural node system that represents the structure of dungeons. And this would be a late game dungeon. Basically, it's just a really simple algorithm that just selects a random direction, builds in that direction, and makes sure that it's not running into anything along the way. And what'll be cool is that the verticality is intentional. The way that this is going to work in the long run is that we're going to have a level designer, whether that's me or whether that's somebody else. We're going to have a level designer go in and make a set of pre-made nodes with a certain level of procedural elements in them. So procedural loot, procedural enemies. As far as loot goes, we are going to try to take more of a Borderlands approach, but we're going to see. That just might be a too tall of an order, but we do want to have like increasing tiers of loot. Essentially, the further away that you get from the start of the game, the more difficult we want the game to become. And you'll be able to upgrade your mech and your character. You'll be able to gather traps. There is an emphasis on stealth within the game because you have these big monsters that if you piss off, they'll come and eat your spine. But we're also going to be balancing it. We're going to be finding ways so that you just don't go kersplat. But we want on foot gameplay to be tense, and we want in mech gameplay to feel epic. And so we're going to get these pre-made nodes in, and then essentially my algorithm is just going to build this skeleton, and then when you get close to the entrance, so let's say that the entrance is here, then it's just going to start building the nodes procedurally and fill them with things that are cool. So even we don't quite know what's going to be in them. And part of the reason we're going so heavily on the procedural element of this is because we're just a few guys doing this part-time. And we really want to make a cool game with lots of content. And so our answer to, content is, let's try to make it procedural if we can, but we don't want to skimp on the gameplay side of things either. Lastly, we do have a netcoding guy. His entire job is to program the netcode of this game. We want it to be multiplayer. And so you're going to be able to get into your mechs with your friends and go hunt down giant monsters together, just like Monster Hunter. Or you can get out of your mechs and explore the world or the dungeons on foot. You can set. My vision is that you'll be able to set traps and ambushes and all sorts of cool stuff for monsters. We are going to see how well we can carry this out. It's not a question of whether or not we can. It's a question of whether or not we have the resources. Everything that I've listed to you right now is something I am confident that we can accomplish. It's just, partially because I know how to do almost all this stuff already, but it takes time. To get this prototype up and running, it took me 3 weeks. But in doing so, I was able to build some really good foundations. And my seed is 24601. Let's go with 867539, and let's just see how it generates this way. Ooh, that is a very, very tight dungeon. I like it. Again, though, this would be like a really late game dungeon. I don't even know if you guys would want to do this, but like it's not going to be like you have to climb up ladders this whole way. There's going to be like some way to gamify this, but I do really like verticality in my games. It could be as simple as you just transition up there via a loading screen, but I don't like that. I want it to be in real time. I want this to occupy real world space. Each one of these segments is about 30 meters. So that tells you about how tall this is. And what's really cool is that we should be able to make it where the game knows that there are these dungeons in these different places, and from a distance it'll load like the outer shell of a spire going up into the sky is our goal. And I am just so excited for this. This was the project where I said, I think this could be really cool. Let's build a prototype first. And because I wasn't sure we could accomplish it when I started this. So it was just me. I just went ham at it for 3 weeks. And I said, hey, I actually think this is possible. So now we have a few other team members on board. We're actually actively recruiting. We're looking for a level designer familiar with Unity, and we're looking for an audio designer familiar with Unity. And I'm super excited for this. I hope that you guys have caught some of my vision. And if you're just scratching your head and thinking, what the hell are you smoking, JC? That's okay. We're going to have a game demo out sooner than later. You'll be able to put your hands on it and play it, and I am just so excited for when that happens. In the meantime, have a very wonderful day. St. Patrick's Day is coming up. Go have fun. Stay safe. Hopefully, COVID will be ending soon. And yeah, just stay awesome, everybody. Later.